record. Hi, everyone. This is Carol Bryant, and I'm back on Fidos of Reality with the My Heart Beats Dog Show. And to bring you the very best content, all of the stuff that you need to know about in the Cocker Spaniel world, I have one of my favorite people as my guest today. Basically, she's the queen of Cocker Spaniels. Let's just put that out there. If you think of Cocker Spaniels and queens, you have to think of Lisa Gaertner. Lisa, thank you for coming on the show.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
So tell me a little bit about yourself. I'll let you do an introduction, what you do, how you got involved with Cockers.
Okay, well, I have owned Cockers since, going on about 35 years. My first Cocker was a rescue. Love the breed, always have. Growing up, I was the child in the family who somehow always ended up finding the animals and bringing them home, much to my parents' despair. I love Cocker Spaniels. The breed has always been in my heart. So I started showing and breeding about 16 or 17 years ago. And they're just a complete passion of mine.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Do you breed both American Cocker Spaniels and English Cocker Spaniels?
No, I only breed the American Cockers. I don't breed the English, although I do love them. One of my dear friends, Judith, does a little bit of breeding of the English, and she had a boy who was my total English Cocker crush. His name was Sun, and just loved him to pieces. Maybe one day I'll get myself an English, but right now I just have the Americans.
American. And in all disclosure, I have a Lisa Gaertner puppy from Pinecliff Cockers, Sir Alvin, and I can attest to how amazing she is. And we'll get into all of that today. But this conversation is for anyone who has a Cocker, wants a Cocker, whether you've had one. I hear people say, oh, I grew up with one, or I've had 12 in my life. And then I have people who write to me and they say, I'm thinking about one. What should I know? And I think that's a good place to start, Lisa, is what's the temperament and personality of a solid American Cocker Spaniel?
A solid American Cocker Spaniel, do yourself a favor, do your research, and get it from somebody who is a reputable breeder. Unfortunately, you would hear things back in the 60s, 70s about people who were getting Cocker Spaniels, and I still hear it today. Well, I thought they were nippy. I thought they were temperamental. And the good ones really are not. The ones that unfortunately aren't health tested and are way overbred, you may, and not socialized, you may run into that. And that's with any breed, not just Cockers. So do your research and be careful on the breeder that you choose, because that's important, and how they're raised and how they're socialized.
And what do you think their personality is like? If you had to describe a well-bred American Cocker Spaniel, what's their personality like?
Oh my God. Well, they're loving. Above all, I mean, and I speak from mine, and with Mr. Alvin, they're loving. They love the attention. They'll be by your side. They love to supervise. If you have to go to the bathroom, they will show you where to go, and they will sit there and wait for you to get done. But they can tend to be chow hounds, so you want to keep an eye on their diet. And they just love to be loved.
Yeah. And above all, merry, right? I mean,
and above all, merry. They're very happy. When I laugh because Becca, who is Alvin's sister, when she goes outside and she's running around the play yard, you actually hear her like squealing with joy. She's like, everything brings her happiness, and that's what it's all about. Because you as their mom, dad, will bring them that joy, and they bring it right back to you.
That's the only breed I've had as an adult. We grew up with Dachshunds and Labrador Retrievers, but once you get that Cocker bug, I feel like you get bit and that's it.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and I mean,
You're in.
yeah, exactly. And do you think, I know, like even growing up, and I'm 55, and full disclosure, in the 50s and the 60s, I know people said they were so popular, then the Cockers kind of fell out of favor. I mean, they were even winning at Westminster a lot. Do you think they've come back into favor and back into popularity in recent times?
Well, I would have to say yes, just because, and I'm not really only speaking for in our area, we have a good number of reputable breeders. So the challenges that the Cocker breed faced back in the 60s and 70s because of Lady and the Tramp,
Yes.
and everybody had to have a Cocker. So unfortunately, the puppy mills that took advantage of that, and of course, were pumping not so nice Cocker Spaniels out there, hopefully had gone away. But most people, I think maybe because of the internet, maybe because of education, they know to get from somebody who's reputable.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. I agree with you. And it's nice to see. I think you're talking about Becca. For me, and you know all the show terms, I love a Cocker in motion. My whole heart skips a beat watching a Cocker in motion. That flow, that rhythm, that line.
Yes.
I just don't think there's anything like it on the planet. And I'm talking about it, my heart's beating fast.
Yes. Yes. And as you're saying that, I'm like envisioning all, the photos, and I was actually, because I'm researching, which is what breeders do. We research pedigrees, we look at different things, and planning years and years in advance. The girls don't just come in season and be like, oh, I'm going to breed to so and so. And a lot of breeders may have their own males on premises. I don't, because I don't have kennels. Everything that happens here is in my home, as you know. And doesn't make one right, wrong, indifferent. It's how each individual breeder, does their program.
Right.
But so I research and I get my dogs from other breeders for the most part. But doing that research, going back to your comment about the motion, it's what we look for. And it's a very important thing to look for as a breeder, because that is the biggest, or one of the biggest things that tells you if they're built correctly. And if they're built correctly, there's less chance of having issues like, bad patellas, bad shoulders, but,
Sure.
the movement is the indicator of them being correct, not just the pretty standing photo that we can see all the time, because anybody can stack, which is, where you hold the dog up in a certain position. You can position it correctly, but that may not necessarily mean it is correct. So the motion is what you really want to look for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
That's what's on. I love that on logos. It's on my clock. And I know it just takes my breath away. And to see them, I saw you show at Westminster, and I just thought you showed beautifully. I can't remember who you showed at the time. She was a blonde. It was before the pandemic, but I just thought, wow, to see you, and you were game face on, and you took that ring and said, I got this.
It's all that.
I got this. And so did the dog. And your energy fed up.
My heart was pounding so fast I couldn't hear.
You wouldn't know. You wouldn't know that. And the dog fed off you. I don't know who it was, that you had, but that dog, you could see she was
Georgia.
It was Georgia.
Okay.
It was Georgia. That's how we met. You had Georgia. And this is a big thing. And we're going to get into some really fun stuff about the Cocker and their health and grooming, but I think we have to get it out there. I've rescued in the past from puppy mill. I've gone to a backyard breeder who at the time I thought was everything, and I didn't realize was a backyard breeder. And then you just, you're the pinnacle to which one achieves in life. And you say, now I'm going to go.
Thank you. I'm not going to be able to walk out the door. My head.
Well, that's all right. I mean, I see it. And when you see so many people and you do what I do, you start to get to know the good from the not so good. what would you say to people who say you've got to only rescue and there's no place for breeders and, adopt, don't shop and that kind of thing? I'd love your feedback.
Thanks. I mean, we have a town group that, it's funny you're saying exactly the things that people tend to push and push. And part of it is because of these more national rescue organizations. They keep pushing it. And that's all you see on TV. The sad music, the weepy announcer. And,
Yes.
I do believe there is a place for both.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of Cocker Spaniels, or really any purebred dog that is from a reputable breeder, you'll never see in a rescue, because the reputable breeder, if the owner cannot keep it, that breeder will take that dog back so that it's never in a rescue.
Mm-hmm.
So sadly, a lot of the rescues that are in the shelters are coming from different areas of not only the country, but of the world. And there'll be a big argument about this, I'm sure, but some rescues can be big business.
Yes.
And so, and that's not every rescue. There are, I work with it's a wildlife rescue in town I work with all the time. And there are other rescues that I've worked with, and they are, to say valid rescues. But again, a reputable breeder, their dog will never end up in a rescue.
Absolutely.
I've, in my career, I've had 2, maybe 3 that needed to come back to me. Mm-hmm. And they did. The people knew, they came back. And, we were able to find them excellent homes, like in a nanosecond. So I think there's a place in the world for both. And you can't knock one and the other. So when people say adopt, don't shop, you can't, I'm trying to think of the word, but you can't make somebody feel guilty about shopping for what they want.
Right. So, and I know all the health testing is there with reputable breeders and all of the things that go on behind the scenes. I mean, we could talk for hours about the neurological things you do and how you get, I've seen, Lisa, and reputable breeders like yourself, what they do with the puppies once they're born and how you take care of the parents and the supplements. And there's so much that goes into it that there is a place for both. And I agree with you. There are some really crummy rescues out there. I don't know where it was. I think it was a show in California, a very national group that rhymes with Schmida, came in and opened cages and of dogs who were in the kennels. I'm sure you know about this, and were yelling better dead than bred. Like they just want the dogs loose. Who cares if you get hit by a car? I mean, that isn't going to help your agenda either.
Yeah. And I've heard horror stories, not just of Schmida letting the dogs out, but actually poisoning.
Yes.
So,
And that's wrong. I mean, that's sick. That's sick.
It's sick. It's sick and it's scary.
Yeah. And I agree with you. There's a place for reputable breeders. And everybody should just
And there's a place for reputable rescues as well.
Exactly. So, thanks for addressing that. It can be such a hot topic. And I just, I just wanted to put that out there before we have some fun. Okay. Let's go complete full circle and talk about the Cocker Spaniel coat and grooming.
Okay.
So, you're going to get a Cocker and you think, oh, it can't be that hard to keep up with them. What do you have to say about that?
Well, it doesn't have to be difficult. I've had some of my puppy people who love the long coat. Yeah. And that's great. But if you're going to do that, you have to be prepared. Yeah. You have to be prepared for the, running out in the yard, running through pricker bushes, know, that the coat's going to get messed up. My recommendation always, if you're not showing the dog, keep it in a shorter cut. It
Yeah.
just makes life for the dog easier, because mats can be very painful, and they can happen overnight. All of a sudden, if your pup has mats under its armpits, that's painful.
Yeah.
And you don't want that. And if it's in there longer than you think it is, and the mat gets tighter to the skin, then you run the risk of clipper burn.
Yeah.
Once you're shaving it out. So keep it easy for yourself and keep it less stressful for the dog. Keep it in a shortcut.
And do you think that, how often would you say?
Just keep a top knot.
Yes, I know that's
Keep a top
exactly. How often would someone need to see a professional groomer with an American Cocker Spaniel if they want to keep the dog shorter, functional, but nothing that they're going to put them in the ring or anything?
I would say probably every 6-7 weeks.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go any longer than that. And they'll cut them down. I mean, when usually twice a year, the ones that I have that are not showing, I cut down. I do my own, home grooming, and I've told you 100 times I'm no professional. But for the ones that stay home, usually like this time of the year, I give what I call they're getting naked. They're getting their haircut, so they're completely cut down, and that way they stay cool and comfortable. Knock wood, I have no issues here with ticks or fleas.
Yeah.
But keeping them short will also help you to see if there's that kind of issue, which hopefully nobody has.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And
because then we'll get into the whole conversation about flea and tick medications and what, no Brovecto, no Simparica, all those orals that combine 187 different medications, and then they wonder why the dog's having seizures. So
And cockers I think cockers' immune systems are particularly sensitive.
They are. They're to say they can be delicate, but you just have to use common sense.
What do you prefer for those of us out here in Lyme country, tick country, in areas where fleas are, like in the South where fleas are a problem? Do you have any preferences for flea and tick preventatives?
Well, first I say go to the environment first. If you can spray with cedar oil and there's actually different plants that you can do in your area. I think marigolds, certain peppermint, go organic first. And if you have to put something on your dog, there are organic products that you can use. Again, knock wood, I don't need them here, unbelievably. And maybe because my dog's play area, is not surrounded by trees and grasses, but there's a product called Nantucket Spider. There's another product called Pet Peeve. And really, if you, pushing Amazon, but if you go onto Amazon and just do organic, dog flea or dog tick, whatever, 100 things will come up.
Yeah,
and
you turned me on to Nantucket spiders too.
Yeah, and if it's a spray, my thing is don't just spray it all over, because to me, the dog will ingest it nasally, and I don't think that that's ever a good idea. So spray it on your hand and then just wipe it down their coat.
Absolutely, and I'll link out. I have a you turned me on to Nantucket Spider for myself too. There's human variations. Never put DEET on your dog, for everybody listening. Don't use over-the-counter ones like DEET. Just remember it's deadly. You cannot put that on a pet.
Yes, D stands for deadly.
Deadly. Yeah, just don't do it. And I'll link out to some better things. It's more laborious to have to put it on your hands and through their coat, but I think I'd rather do that than, true story, my first Cocker Spaniel, who was a Lancaster puppy mill rescue. We had seen a sign that said peach pies, green beans, and Cocker Spaniels when we went to visit there like 30 years ago.
Okay.
that was I didn't know. I was like, oh, how nice, the Amish and green beans and puppies.
Yeah.
Real, you learn, you live and you learn and you understand
Yes.
things. And no, not bashing anybody. I'm just saying you learn. And, we learned a lot since then, but my Brandy, we put Frontline, the topical on her, and it literally burned the hair off. You could see where it took where the
Oh
Frontline
no.
traveled, and it burned the top of her coat, and it
Oh.
never grew back. And I mean, if it's doing that to the outside, and those products tell you to wear gloves, also.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
products are like, don't breathe it in, put gloves on. Well, why are you putting it on your dog?
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly. And it's like the flea
the
collars.
flea collars, yeah.
They end up with the same thing, a burned ring. I actually had one of my families, because their vet told them to,
Oh no.
put the flea collar on, and within 2 days she was having seizures.
Oh no.
Once they took it off, they bathed her. She
Yeah.
was fine. She never had another seizure, but you
Uh,
know,
it's
it's like,
scary. It's scary.
yeah,
Are there any particular things that, like, I know, like, let's talk health because there's so many fun things, but from a health perspective, if someone's thinking about getting an American Cocker Spaniel or an English, let's just stay with
mhm.
American though. Are there any things there they should watch for, things the breed is prone to? I'd love your thoughts.
Well, there are things that the breed can be prone to, and it's not every line.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you know, something can come from 8, 10 generations back, whether it's seizures, because they do happen.
Mhm.
Some can be one and done, and some at a certain point will have to get medication. Cataracts is also another potential issue, although we're hoping against hope. Another fundraiser thing that I always do, I do my calendar every year to raise money for cataract research. Dr. Aguirre, who is one of the top canine ophthalmologists, not just in our country, but in the world,
Mhm.
has been working on finding a DNA marker. So it's our hope that one day that marker will exist so that, we know what to breed and what not to breed to get our puppies, so that we can hopefully one day eliminate cataracts.
Mhm.
Um, and what was the other? Oh, autoimmune.
Yeah.
There can be issues with autoimmune, and the same thing. There are DNA markers that you can, you know,
Right.
search for to hopefully avoid
Right.
that.
And I think it's like any breed, just there's no guarantees of anything. You just have to stay on top of it, make sure you have a good relationship with a veterinarian who's open-minded, isn't
Yes.
pushing products on you, and will listen to your feedback, and you can be allies together, because the
Right.
bottom line is you want this dog to live a long life. We all want our dogs to live long lives,
Yeah.
long, healthy lives.
Yeah. And I've had people who say to me, well, I'm only going to go to, my vet, as
Hmm.
opposed to, having a good relationship with a traditional vet, and a vet who
Sure.
does other things. Hold on. Sorry.
That's okay. Real life. We're good.
Real life. Okay.
I agree with you too that I have access to a holistic vet, so I could run things by her, and I do both. I do Western and Eastern medicine, and I think
And
there's a
then
place for both.
absolutely. I agree 100%.
I mean, I
100%.
have people in Club Cocker on Facebook that they do acupuncture with their dogs, and that would be, I mean, I'd consider that if I
Mhm.
had to, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I actually had a Chihuahua, oh gosh, 17 years ago, that I did holistic, because she
Wow.
she was not a well-bred Chihuahua.
Okay.
It's a very long story, but she started having seizures at 6 months old,
Hmm.
and they just progressively got worse. And I didn't want to put her on phenobarbital at that age. And
Hmm.
we ran the gamut, but this was almost 20 years ago. So your holistic medicine was not what it is today,
Yeah.
but we did Reiki, we did raw, we did, acupuncture.
Hmm.
Sadly, she just it wasn't something that was going to stop with her. And that's ultimately, she started seizing and never stopped. And it was sad. But
that's so rough. It is rough. That's the first day of a pet parent's life. And as we all know, and then we get up and we do it again because we're crazy and we love them.
It's like it said, when I hear people, when they say we lost and we don't have room in our hearts, and I'm like, they would want you. You're not replacing them, but there's still more room in there. I think, I firmly believe if you are an animal lover, whether it's a dog, a cat, a horse, a goat, doesn't matter. If you lose them, they're part of you and they'll always be a part of you. But,
they want us to be happy. I think that like our cockers, our dogs live so in the moment that's the lesson I think we all could take from them is,
oh my God, yes.
Happy in the moment, I know when I lost my last cocker, Dexter, I think it was like 2 days. I saw a grief counselor because that one took me out of nowhere. And she said, you're a dog person. She said, you're not just a one dog person, like you're a dog person for life. And the next day I contacted you. True story, because it's like, I can't go through this. I could never not have a Cocker Spaniel in my life. That's my drug. That's my wine. That's my joy. I didn't need to see a grief counselor anymore. And I was able to not take Xanax because who needs Xanax? Now, do I have wine? Yes. Do I have the occasional glass of wine, especially after grooming a cocker? But you know what? It's just my heart beats dog, and that's really what I mean by it. It's a sense of it completes me.
Yeah.
It completes me. Okay, so on that note, like, what do you think is the average healthy living? Everything's going well, Cocker Spaniel lifespan?
Well, from what I have seen for myself and, from my friends and an average cocker should be between 14 and 16 years old.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a cocker that is 16 or 17 or even 18, you're incredibly blessed. We wish they could be here a whole lot longer.
Mm-hmm.
I've lost them at a young age, and I just lost Madison.
I was going to bring her up. I wanted to shout Madison out. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she was 14 and a half. We talked about the different health issues, and we know that our dogs have them, and just like people, I mean, you never know the rhyme or reason why you lose people when you do. I mean, I lost both my parents when they were 57. I mean,
oh God,
I think about that now, and I'm like, oh my God, that's so young.
Oh my gosh, I'll say.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that. Hi, Sandy. I'm assuming that's not Lola sneaking in the kitchen.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm in the interview.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
Pinecliff Goldens, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, Pinecliff Goldens.
What I wanted to talk about was now the fun aspect of them. So we know, like, they're beautiful. They're in the ring. They're smart and sneaky and funny and mischievous. But what kind of things can people do with a Cocker Spaniel on a high sporty level and then just on a day-to-day level? What kind of things can Cockers do?
On a high sporting level, if you look at our family member, Mary Jane, she does agility. She does barn hunt. There's all sorts of activities that you can do that are part of the AKC, because your dogs, all the dogs that leave here are AKC registered. That's on the high end, and she does a fabulous job with the cockers. There's also different like Trick Dog and Canine Good Citizen, and even therapy. I mean, therapy dogs are wonderful. We have a number of our cockers who are, to say, unofficial therapy dogs. I can tell you the number of phone messages and conversations I've had where one of our families is diabetic and didn't realize while they were sleeping that their sugar, they were heading to coma.
Oh my God.
And their dog. I don't want to mention names because I don't want to,
Yeah. The
go
dog
there.
alert? Did the dog alert?
The dog, absolutely. And it didn't happen just once. It happened several times.
Oh, wow.
So they're so smart. On the low end, stay home, take them for a walk, and binge watch anything you want on Netflix. They'll love to lay in your lap and get belly rubs.
Oh, yeah.
They run the gamut.
I love it. In these last 5 minutes, I want it to be all about you and your preferences. So, favorite color Cocker?
Oh, God. My favorite color would be red and white.
Is it? Yeah, I kind of thought.
Yeah, I just love the red and white Cockers. They've always been my favorite, but I love my Buffies too. I love my Tries.
Hey, Alvin was listening. He was waiting. He was a little bit offended.
Alvin,
back
I
there.
love you.
Okay. All right. The last thing a Cocker Spaniel did to make you laugh or smile.
Oh, just this morning with Darcy, when the babies were all done and the camera was off with their first meal, and she went in, she made sure they were all nice and clean before they all went to sleep. And it's just like that her being the best mom is, that just always makes me smile.
Who shouldn't have a Cocker Spaniel, or who wouldn't you want to have one of your puppies, or who just shouldn't have the breed at all? If you can't, what?
If you can't be there and spend time with them, if you're somebody that, you leave for work at 6 o'clock in the morning and you don't get home until 8 o'clock at night, then a Cocker Spaniel really isn't the right fit for you.
They're for life. They're for life.
And they want the companionship.
What would you say about their training? Are they easy to train, sensitive to train?
I think they're easy to train. I think they're very smart dogs. They love to please. They want that confirmation, so she's distracting me because she's making lunch.
Oh boy. And speaking of Sandy, who's there, Sandy should get a trademark on Glee Pee, because that little piddle that Cockers do when they see you, I'll never forget her saying, well, that's Glee Pee.
That's just Glee Pee.
I know. I really think she should trademark that, because it's a lot better than, well, my dog pissed on the floor.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds a lot better.
And especially because not all Cockers do it, but there's some that they're so happy.
To see you that they pee.
It's like a sprinkler.
I'm sure there's people out there like that too. I don't personally know them, but I'm sure
it's usually if you have to go and you cough or you sneeze.
Oh yeah, in that club. So where can people learn more about you? Like, they're interested in a Pine Cliff dog. They want to know more about Cocker Spaniels. Tell me your website, and I'll put that on the screen too. Okay.
My website is www.pinecliffcockers.com. On there, you'll see all of our different, the girls we have. I'll list on the nursery page, that our plans for, 2024, eventually 2025. And they can email through our contact, or they can email me at lisa@pinecliffcockers.com.
And you have an Amazon page also, right? Like, of different products you like. Isn't that on your website as well?
Yes, I have a page called My Favorite Things. And some of them will link right to Amazon. So it takes the guessing out of, what size or what color or whatever that I use. I also just want to reiterate that I don't have a ton of puppies. If you are interested in getting a Pine Cliff Cocker, it may take you a little while, but as I say, it's all, anything good is always worth the wait. So
Yeah, I think I agree. And I think you screen so incredibly, we could talk forever about all the things you do once the puppies are born too, because Lisa has a whole system of exercises and things she does that I'm sure Alvin one day is just going to get up and open the fridge on his own because he knows how to use those arms better than people. His paws better than people use their arms. I've heard this from many Pine Cliff parents that whatever you're doing with their paws, they are touchers, reachers, and grabbers. So
yeah. Well, we do early neurological stimulation that, believe it or not, starts when they're 3 days old.
wow,
So
that's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for this. This is so enjoyable. I can't wait for everybody to see this and give all your babies a kiss for me. And thanks
I
for
will.
your time.
Would you like me to bring one on screen right now?
Can you do that? I didn't know if that would be too much.
Yeah.
Oh, good. We're gonna have.
Be right back.
Okay. Yeah. So while Lisa goes to grab one of the puppies, I really hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, you can put them in the comments. Reach out to me. I could definitely get you in touch with Lisa, and I can tell you that Cockers have been my lifelong breed. They're not for everybody. You definitely want to be somebody who can commit to them, and I think you're going to melt right now. This is a melting. Oh no! Oh no! Who do we have? Who do we have?
We have Kevin. This is Kevin. And this is Katie.
Oh
So
my gosh.
These little nuggets will be 4 weeks old tomorrow.
And they are spoken for.
Yes.
Yes, they are spoken for. Here is the perfect example of how your life will never be the same. Now, I can't breathe. I have anything to say. See, and then I know they have puppy breath, and I can't smell it. Exactly.
Yeah.
We're going to break the internet with this. You're going viral, girl.
Okay, Kevin.
See? And they had their first solids this morning. That's right.
Yes, they did.
They had their first solids.
Okay.
Handing them off. Oh,
yeah.
Katie.
Okay. This is our little girl.
Oh, no.
This is Katie. Katie,
no. Oh, my God. I can't take it. That's it.
I know. I woke them up, so they probably have to go pee.
Well, thank you, Lisa. And thank you for coming on camera. And Sandy, hello. And I just can't wait for everybody to see this. We really appreciate your time.
It's my pleasure. Anytime. This was a lot of fun. I appreciate you asking me. Very flattered.
Hold on 1 minute. Like what you saw? Make sure you hit subscribe so that you never miss a video here at Phytos of Reality.